Welcome back to the Lemon Factor. I'm Chad, and in today's video, we are going to install our first power modification on our newest project car, this 2023 Toyota GR Supra. The Supra, the Mark V Supra, is fairly easy to extract additional horsepower from with an ECU tune. So you can get a lot out of this car without doing a lot of additional modifications besides altering the tune. However, it can be rather expensive, especially for the newer cars. Anyone with a 2020 or anyone with a model year 2021 that has an ECU that is stamped before June of 2021, you're in luck. You can send off your ECU to have it benched unlocked for a reasonable price. And then you can mod your ECU from there. However, the newer cars, the cars that are using a post-June 2021 ECU, like our 2023, that makes it a little bit more difficult and a lot more expensive. There's only one group, FEMTO, that are currently doing the unlocks, which means that you have to work with either a company here in the United States to send off your ECU or have someone hand deliver the ECU to FEMTO to have it unlocked. And it's pretty expensive. But once you get it back, you can tune the car. It still has its limitations, and I think in a future video, I'm gonna go through all of the various options to tune the Mark V. But for now, for today, we're going to install what is a very popular and, dare I say, cheap alternative to unlocking the ECU. We're going to install the Burger Tuning JB4 on our 2023 Toyota GR Supra. I did opt for the Bluetooth, which I highly recommend even without installing it. It's just nice to be able to control everything through your cell phone. This is the OBD connector. So while we'll attach it inside the engine bay, we'll then feed this through the firewall and attach it to our OBD connector underneath the dash, underneath the steering wheel. Here's the main unit of the JB4. Here's the harness. And at the end of the harness are various attachments. In addition to the unit, and like I said, the optional Bluetooth, you also do need to purchase the app through the App Store. Some of the older units had as an optional add-on the sensor for the electronic wastegate. And that is no longer the case. If you're purchasing one of these new now, then the EWG, the electronic wastegate attachment, which is the longest piece, so let's see which one is that. This piece here at the end automatically comes attached to the JB4 unit. The first thing that we're going to do is attach our Bluetooth. So we're going to open up the unit, and I flip this over because you can see 4 Allen screws. So I believe it's 2.5 millimeters. We'll open it up. See here, the wires are exiting this side, but you do have on this end where your Bluetooth will connect. I am going to use some zip ties just to zip tie our Bluetooth to the side. keep it out of the way. Our next step is to remove our engine cover, and then we are going to remove the corner cover where we are going to place our JB4. This is exactly where we're going to sit our JB4 unit, and we're going to thread all of the wires and do all of our connections from here. But also from here, we're going to punch a hole into our firewall. Yeah, I know that sounds worse than it really is. It's really not that bad. We're going to punch a little hole into our firewall so that we can pass through the wire for our OBD connection inside. You can easily access this with your hand back here and pull it the rest of the way through, and you can have it come across here. You can thread it the way your screwdriver came through. Let's go inside, I'll show you underneath. Now we're going to place our JB4 unit within this opening. There's a lot of space. I'm actually going to get something to wrap around the JB4 unit, like a piece of thick foam, just so it doesn't move around. We're going to attach our OBD cable to it, and then we're going to run all of the harness, all of the wires, roughly to where we want them to go. I tucked it under the brace. The first connection goes to the right of the oil cap. The second connection will go closer to the front of the car in the front here. And then the last connection, the EWG, will connect underneath the air box, and we'll have to remove that to make that connection. Looking at the oil cap, and right to the right of the oil cap is your first connection. You'll see some white clips here. You use a small flathead to pop that out, slide that over, and then you'll need to pry underneath carefully to be able to release it from a clip, and you'll slide the attachments apart. So these two are our first connections. Because of the angle you're at, I've already disconnected this first one. So here's the connector, and it was sitting within here. Now that we have this disconnected, we're going to make our two connections. And our first one, let's see. Here's our first connection. Love that satisfying snap. So that was the snap inside. Still need to push in that white clip. There we go. Grab our second one. That'll go in to what we disconnected. And then we'll push in the white clip. There we go. So that's our first one. And here's our second connection. We'll follow that straight towards the front of the car. Here's our wire, and we're going to disconnect this. Do the clip. We've undone the clip, as you can see here. Just move that off. Here's our connector, and we'll slide in the JB4. There we go. Push in the white clip. We'll take this end. Our last connection is the EWG. To get access to it, we have to remove our brace, our engine air filter box itself, and then we'll have access and we'll be able to attach that. So now that the brace is removed, we'll use a flathead and remove this hose clamp. Once we're done with that, I'm going to detach this sensor. And then I'm going to detach these 4 clips, and remove the top of the box. It's going to be 3 feet, 3 grommets that this is popped into. So you're going to have to finagle this to pop it out, and just be aware that this metal heat shield that is between the turbo and the air intake box, the air filter box, comes out with it. There we go. There's wires right here going into this tinfoil looking, it's to protect the wires from the heat, but this padding has 3 snaps. They're right under here. You can't see them, but we're going to unsnap these 3, detach the sensor, and attach our electronic wastegate connection. We made our attachments and we reattached the blanket. Once you've seated the bottom of the air box into those 3 grommet holes, don't forget the air intake filter, and snap. There's 4 of these, 1, 2, 3, and 1 over there, 4 into place. Reattach and tighten the clamp, and don't forget to reattach the sensor. Now we'll put the strut brace back in place. Now we're going to attach the OBD connection, you can see right here, to our OBD port, which is, relatively speaking, right above it. Next, you will start your car, but do not turn over the engine. You go into your JB4 mobile app, assuming you've already downloaded it. First thing you'll need to do is register. That'll take all of 10 seconds. And now that the car is on, you'll click on Connect. Currently it says disconnect. I'm already connected. Click on Connect. You wait a moment. It will connect to the car. You'll see here on the first screen is the gauge display. You can configure these various gauges to read various sensor readings. Nothing's happening here because I don't have the car on. You can also turn it to landscape, which is nice, and you can mount this up. In addition to seeing the gauges, which is cool, but while you're driving, it's a little difficult to see exactly what's happening, you can click on the logs and you can data log whether you're on the dyno, running 0 to 60, quarter mile, 60 to 130, whatever it might be, and all of the sensor readings will be captured, and you can take a look at those data logs at a later time. JB4 mobile app also gives you access to codes and the ability to delete any error codes that you may have. And in settings, this is where you go to your map. So under basic, the second line, here is the listing of all of your map choices, with map 0 being stock, which is what I currently have it on. And you'll make your choice depending upon how much additional peak boost you would like to attempt to obtain, what octane rating you have access to. And for us, later on, we'll have map 6. This will be our custom tune. So we will work with Jesse DaBears from One Fast Supra, and we will have a custom map developed specifically for our car and our environmental conditions. You have the ability to quickly change over from map to map. It takes seconds to switch between your maps. I've already purchased the custom tune from Jesse DaBears. I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of the JB4. But before we even get to that, we're going to dyno test the car. So I'll do the data logs, we'll do some runs, we'll do some 0 to 60, I'll take it to the track, we're going to dyno test it, baseline it, stock, and then we are going to see how much the JB4 adds to it, the off-the-shelf maps, the map 1, map 2, I'm not sure if I'm going to go much more beyond that, and then we'll have it custom tuned and we'll see how that impacts the power production. Not only the peak horsepower, of course, we'd like to get more horsepower from a custom tune, but also the drivability. And it's not just on our 91 octane, which is all that I get here in Denver, Colorado, but we're also going to do an ethanol tune. So this car responds very well to ethanol, and I'd like to see what we can produce as far as power. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I want to thank you very much for joining, and until next time.